Okay. Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night, the 23rd of November, 2023. We'll be reading out of the book of Enoch, okay, for the topic for discussion. You can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have a lot of videos, over 700 videos, various topics. It's a lot of information and connect a lot of dots for people that's seeking the truth. Okay, so you can, if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be very appreciated. And feel a need to donate to the channel, you can go down to our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so with that being said, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, we do women's, we'll be doing women's health moment, and then we'll go into some current events, a little need to know information, and then we'll open up for some Q&A. Then we'll go into our topic. We'll be reading out of the book of Enoch. Okay. Then we'll close out from there. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto Thee. Therefore we come before Thee at this hour, seeking Thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before Thee as Thy servants David, Solomon, and Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before Thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we desire to walk after Thee, O Lord, and to keep Your commandments and Your testimony and Your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by Your prophets. O Lord, allow Thy face to shine upon Thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not Thy face from us, for we need You so very much at this hour. Peace be unto You. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to read the Psalms. Somebody want to read a psalm?
Yes, I'll read a Psalms since Sister Cheryl is not here. I will read Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, a psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Verse 3. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Verse 6. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That was Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how when the truth comes, you find out the truth. All that time in the church, I don't know about anybody else but me, all that time in the church, it's telling you right there who the shepherd is. Say, the Lord is my shepherd. Don't say Jesus shepherd, but it says the Lord. When you understand who that is, it's the Lord of hosts. The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. Is there something?
Oh, yes, sir. All
Okay.
praises.
So we're gonna go on to our women's health moment.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please know that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on the incredible health benefits of elderberries. Elderberries are known for their immune system boosting properties and have been used in medicinal preparations since ancient times. While there are many different fruits in the Sambucus family, which is a close relative of the blueberry, black elderberries are some of the most sought after because they have an exceptional high concentrations of antioxidants. In fact, in the olden days, they were often one of the first remedies prescribed to help treat cold and flu symptoms. But unlike many folk remedies, these berries have been proven time and time again to live up to their medicinal reputation and have an incredible amount of health benefits that you should know about. Elderberries are packed with key nutrients like vitamin C, zinc, iron, beta carotene, folic acid, and vitamin B12. Elderberries can help with anything from a cold to allergies and even ulcers. Elderberries help boost kidney and urinary health by preventing bacteria from sticking to the cells found in these areas. This in turn helps avoid kidney infections and reduces symptoms of urinary tract infections. Elderberries can also help protect your heart and cardiovascular health by preventing cholesterol and fatty deposits from attaching to the cells. This helps block cholesterol production, which can lead to heart disease. It also helps lower your blood glucose. Elderberries also reduces inflammation, which helps all around your body. For example, inflammation in your digestive tract can lead to ulcers, and inflammation in the joints can cause arthritis. In fact, elderberry can even help with eye inflammations or asthma symptoms. The most powerful benefits from elderberries come from their work in your immune system, and all the nutrients that they give you are the ones that your body craves already. There are different ways that you can take elderberry, including fresh, as juice, as a jam, or an extract, as a syrup, or in tea. So there's no reason not to add elderberries to your diet. I will be reading Genesis chapter 1, verses 11 and 12, the third day. Verse 11, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. Verse 12, and the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was itself after his kind, and God saw that it was good. Tonight's discussion was on the incredible health benefits of elderberries, and I read Genesis chapter 1, verses 11 and 12, the third day. Shalom.
Okay, yeah, appreciate that information. Okay, we're gonna go into our current events, and we'll listen to them. And we talk about each one of them. Okay.
It's happening again. China's hospitals are filling up with patients. Almost all of them are children. The symptoms are strikingly similar to the Wuhan virus: high fever and lung infection. There are many clusters of patients. Doctors say they have pneumonia, but they don't know what's causing the infection. They failed to figure out the root cause. Is this a new variant of the Wuhan virus? Is it a bacterium or a new disease altogether? As always, China is not being transparent. And I know what you're thinking. This is a repeat of 2019. It sounds like one, when mysterious disease was ripping through China. First, Beijing played down the outbreak, then they concealed the truth, and the result was a global pandemic, the worst of our times. 4 years later, we have a new outbreak in China, one that Beijing cannot explain. So, what really is happening? There is limited information as of now. We don't know exactly when the outbreak began or how many patients are in hospital. But we can tell you that the hotspot is northern China. The surge seems recent, also unexpected. Some reports say hospitals are overwhelmed and schools on the verge of a shutdown, obviously because this is affecting children. So parents in China are worried. In one instance, they were heard asking authorities if they're covering up another outbreak. Not just the rest of the world, even the people of China do not trust their government. And clearly, they were not ready for this. Also, there is something strange about this outbreak, the fact that it's hitting only children. Not many adults are showing these symptoms. The number of infected children, though, is quite high. Meanwhile, a new report is doing the rounds. It comes from a platform called ProMed. Now, ProMed is basically a surveillance system built by the International Society for Infectious Diseases. And what does ProMed do? It monitors disease outbreaks the world over. This is where a lot of doctors first learned about the Wuhan virus. ProMed had carried reports of the first cases in 2019. And now it is focusing on the new outbreak in China. And here is what it says. It has called the disease an undiagnosed pneumonia. That's what experts are also calling it, an undiagnosed pneumonia. The report also features some quotes from locals. One of them is from Beijing, from inside a children's hospital. This is what a local resident in Beijing said, and I'm quoting, many are hospitalized, they don't cough and have no symptoms, they just have a high temperature or fever, and many develop pulmonary nodules. Now, you're not allowed to report to school. If you have any symptoms such as fever, cold, cough, and then you're hospitalized, you can ask for leave. Then there are more ground reports. The second one is from the Liaoning province. Again, this is from a children's hospital. It's called the Dalian Children's Hospital. The situation here is quite bad. Locals say the hospital lobby is full of sick children. They're receiving intravenous or IV drips. Children are receiving IV drips in the hospital lobby. I have a quote from a hospital staffer. This is what he says. Patients have to wait in line for 2 hours, and we are all in the emergency department, and there are no general outpatient clinics. So the outbreak is large and serious. Some videos are spreading on Chinese social media. We've not been able to verify these, but they are quite shocking. It appears children are doing their classes from hospitals. Take a look at this. The scary pictures, it's the worst sight for any parent, their child on a drip doing schoolwork. So what are Chinese authorities doing? Last week, they held a press conference. There were officials from China's National Health Commission. And did they have any answers? I'm afraid not. They sounded clueless. They said this surge in cases is linked to pandemic restrictions. What does that mean? Let me explain. During the pandemic, China followed something called a zero COVID policy. It was a totalitarian approach. There were mass lockdowns. Everyone had to undergo a test, and patients were treated like criminals. They were picked up from their homes, sometimes by force, and they were locked up in quarantine centers. It did not work. Instead of achieving zero COVID, China was killing its economy. So in the month of January this year, they abandoned the policy. This was more than 10 months back. And now Chinese experts say it led to what they're calling an immunity gap, meaning people who don't have a strong immune system are falling sick.
Children's immune systems are not well developed. Specific and non-specific immunity functions are not very matured, including our children's relatively weak cough reflex, insufficient function of respiratory motile cilia, low levels of immunoglobulin of our children, which may all easily cause infection.
But what is their sickness? Which disease is this that is exclusively targeting children? Chinese officials have given a range of possibilities. It could be the Wuhan virus, influenza, respiratory syncytial virus or RSV, or a disease called Mycoplasma pneumoniae. This is a common bacterial infection. It affects younger children. And China says all these diseases are in circulation right now, so it could be any of these. But they cannot say for sure what's driving the current outbreak. Now, the World Health Organization wants answers. They've asked China to share more data, including patient lab tests. Not sure if that will be enough, especially given the WHO's track record and how they handled China with kid gloves 3 years back. 3 years have passed. We still don't know what happened in Wuhan. And now there's a new outbreak in China. The WHO.
Okay, any comments on that?
Well, she was, excuse me, talking about finding out more about it by doing more lab tests, right? And
Right.
I just think, when they get in the lab, they seem to do more than has to be done. They do more experimenting than trying to, find something that is going to fix it or make it any better. They just seem to create else that is more harmful to us than helping us.
Right. Okay. So we got another one right here. Let me get it.
Ghana's Nana Akufo-Addo is calling for Africans to unite and to ask for reparations from the European Union. He actually said before the reparations, we need, as Africans, the whole of Africa, we need an apology from the European Union. Watch this clip, we'll come back and discuss.
Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo on Tuesday called for a united front with African leaders on demands for reparations for transatlantic slavery and colonial-era damages. Some Western leaders have recently moved to acknowledge the wrongs of the colonial era in Africa, and museums have begun returning stolen African treasures and artifacts.
No amount of money can restore the damage caused by the transatlantic slave trade and its consequences, which will span many centuries. But surely, this is a matter that the world must confront and can no longer ignore.
Ghana's leader has been vocal in calling for reparations and used a speech to the UN General Assembly this year to demand for more acknowledgement of the impact of colonial exploitation.
Even before these discussions on reparations conclude, the entire continent of Africa deserves a formal apology from the European nations involved in the slave trade.
Akufo-Addo called on Africa to work together with the Caribbean to advance reparations, labeling it valid demand for justice.
This is not the first time Nana Akufo-Addo is speaking out when it comes to reparations. He has talked about how the Europeans need to accept what they have done, need to take accountability, and also pay reparations for all the damage that they have caused. So did we hear back from the European Union? No. Was he addressing the UN General Assembly so that they can take accountability? Yes. We think that we're going to hear back from them? No. But the only way that they will respond to this reparations question is, as Nana Akufo said, if we come together and present this query as one people. I think that's the only way they will respond to it. Otherwise, they'll continue refusing to address it. They don't even apologize. The closest they have come to apologizing, for example, when it comes to the UK, is we regret that this happened, or even with Belgium, we regret that this happens. I believe Germany is the only one, if I'm not wrong, that actually outwardly said, we apologize for what we have done to Tanzania. But there might be more countries that said that they regret what happened, but they never come out and actually apologize for what they have done. They just want to move forward because they don't want to be held accountable for what they have done to our people.
Okay. So it's like in the last week, the third African president came out speaking loud and strong about reparations. So to me, it seems like something is in the makings. Something they got, they setting up. But it's just me. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. Got some need to know information right here. Okay. Man.
United States have already lost this war. And let me tell you what I mean. And I'm just going to be brutally honest with you. All right. I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm just going to be brutally honest with you. Before this situation happened, my opinion of the Israel versus Palestine issue is that Israel was the good guys and everybody was trying to kill them. And they were surrounded by a bunch of Arab terrorists in all these different countries. And the people in Gaza and the West Bank were mostly terrorists, Muslim terrorists who just wanted to kill all the Jewish people, or they were protecting terrorists, one or the other. Okay, that was my knowledge. That has what has been fed to me in the United States of America for the 54 years of my life. Now, I have educated myself on the situation. I know about the Nakba and Tantura. I know about the Israeli PR firm of Hasbara. I mean, I've now started to educate myself on this stuff. I've said to myself, well, why is all this happening? And so I learned about the 1953 CIA coup toppling the government of Iran, and then how that sparked the Iranian Revolution in 1979, which basically that it was the foundation of terror as we know it in the Middle East, right? We've learned about all of these things, okay? And we've learned that the United States funds 16% of Israel's military budget. Israel, with their free healthcare for all, we give them billions and billions of dollars for bombs. We have learned so much in this conflict because the information is here in places like TikTok. And I hate to say this, but it's true. The only thing that is going to change this conflict is the horror of Western people like me right now that are seeing this and saying, holy. But you have to understand something. We're just getting to this spot right now. And what we're seeing is that the Palestinian people have been undergoing this for 75 years. This is no different than anything else that they've gone through for 75 years. Entire generations. Okay? What's different about it this time? Westerners are finally speaking up. And unfortunately, that's the only thing the Palestinians can do to get their message out to the world, because the Zionist Israelis have they have a hold on the information networks and always have. That has now disappeared. And they're still trying desperately to frame the narrative on social media, but now people are seeing through it. Now we have things like TikTok where we can screenshot Israel's statements that they put out where they claim that they did bomb the hospital. Then we can see them delete them, and then we can see them come up with a new one that's, this is a video, and then we can prove that the video is fake, and then we can follow everything that's happening. All we got to do is open our eyes and start looking. Okay, and so this is what's going to happen. Israel's money is going to dry up from the United States. Right now, there's one thing that unites Democrat and Republican politicians and media in the United States, and that is the support for Israel. That's what it is. Unbelievable that there's nothing else that Republicans and Democrats are aligned on. America is in bed with the Zionist Jewish lobby. And we see that now. And we are going to dry that funding up, let me tell you. It may seem like, we've been trying to do this for years and years and years and years, but it just never works. Yeah, it's going to work now because white people like myself are finally telling the story of the Palestinian people. That's what's going to happen. And it's gross. It's disgusting that that's what it takes. But it's here, and we are going to hold them accountable. Like I'm telling you right now, I've made a solemn promise. to myself and here vocally on TikTok, I will never vote for another politician under any circumstances who supports the funding of Israel, period. And I'm just one guy with a small platform. But let me tell you, there's more of me and more of me and more of me. And I'm going to keep educating people, and they're going to keep educating people. And we're all going to just say, we will no longer vote for anybody who funds Israel. And I'm telling you, when that happens, the state of Israel that you know of today will cease to exist. It will either adapt and make peace, or it will be destroyed because they won't have any money anymore. Because the only reason Israel is alive today is because of America's money. Period. That's the reality of the situation. And so, how do I see this ending? Not only with a marked change in what Israel is right now, but the freedom of the Palestinian people. And then I see this influencing many, many, many other revolutions across the world, just like the American Revolution did, right? That's what's going to happen. People are waking up, and I can't wait for it.
Listen.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay, here go another one. So, like he said, they are these white folks starting to wake up and find out, and it's been prophesied that the Gentiles were going to say that they inherited lies. They're going to all of a sudden they're going to find out and realize that everything they know been lies. It was told lies. So here go another one right here.
As the son of an Israeli, as someone with an Israeli passport, as someone who has friends and family over there, obviously, no one approves of the slaughter of innocent people. No one. And of course, I am concerned for my friends and family who are in Israel. That being said, I do not stand with Israel at all on what's going on. And I'm finally starting to realize how brainwashed I've been. I was taught to love Israel. I went to Jewish elementary and Jewish high school. And, we're singing the Hatikva, the national anthem. We're singing all these Jewish songs. And we're taught this one very specific view of history. We were taught basically that, the land was ours. We were taught that, we tried to offer them a solution. We tried to offer them peace, and they kept on attacking us. And the reason why we kept on gaining more and more land was because they would start wars with us. And we would defend ourselves, and we would just end up with more land until we'd try and give it back to them every once in a while, but they wouldn't accept it. Now I'm starting to recognize more and more and more, firstly, that the Palestinians are living in, this is the phrase that's being thrown around, an open-air prison. 2.2 million people who are being restricted in their food, their water, their electricity, their fuel. Children who are born into a prison who are never going to be able to go anywhere and do anything. And this has been going on for 50 to 60 years. We were taught to resent them. And so, obviously, again, the killing of innocent people by the Palestinians, awful, terrible, inexcusable. And then I watch Israel's response, carpet bombing this open-air prison with 2.2 million people. They're doing the same thing. I do not stand with Israel. I stand with the Palestinian people. I do not understand how we as Jews can stand by while a nation cries for freedom. They are trapped there. It might not be as explicit as putting them into gas chambers, but it's still genocide. And we talk as Jews in regards to the Holocaust of never again. Is it just never again to us? Or is it never again? Because I thought it meant never again. We were told that Hamas beheaded 40 babies. And we look at that, and that gives us they are terrorists. That's beyond any freedom fighting thing. That there's beyond no excuse. And it turns out, wait a minute, there is no evidence of that. And the news outlets that first put out that story then retract the statement. You can't retract a statement. Once it's out there, the damage is done. Because let's say you publish a news story, and 10 million people hear the story of Hamas beheaded 40 babies. Then you post the retraction. Firstly, the retraction doesn't get as much news as the original post. So 10 million people heard you say that Hamas beheaded 40 babies, and only 2 million people heard you make that retraction. And even the ones that did hear you make that retraction, half of them don't believe it. And even if they do believe it, that image is still in your head. There is no denying that Israel has been using propaganda. So much of what we know is not the truth of things. So we don't know. You don't know what's happening there. I don't know what's happening there. There are a few things that we can know. We can know the big picture story. We can know that there are 2.2 million people being subjugated in that place who cannot live their lives. We can know for certain that civilians were killed from Hamas, from the Palestinians, and we can know for certain that even more civilian and children were killed by Israelis' response. So, firstly, let's open up our interpretation of everything that's going on there. Let's move from this binary, black and white, to they are wrong, we are right, to wait a minute. The Israelis are causing more death, really, than the Palestinians, and we're being taught that, wait, we're the good guys here because this is our land kind of thing, because we're standing up for ourselves. It's not our land. We were given the land. It's like, if someone comes up to you, the government comes up to you right now and says, here's this person, you know, they're a refugee from Syria. This is their house now. Like, what do you mean this is their house now? Well, here's this person, they're a refugee, they've been in a lot of pain, and we've decided to host these people, so this is their house now. You're going to have to leave. I don't want to leave. Okay, fine. Tell you what, they'll take the left side of the house, and you take that little 10%, that one room. You keep your bedroom, but they get the rest of the 90% of this house. Is that acceptable to you? You go, no. Now it's your fault. So go to your bedroom.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. With that, we got some. We're gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything that they came across in their research or studies? They want to bring up a question or comment. We'll have a little dialogue. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nobody have any? Huh? Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm good.
Okay. So we'll play this right here, then we'll go into our Bible study.
Our war is not on Jewish children. Our war is against the Zionist apartheid state of Israel, and that's what we are fighting. Tell President Ruto that the people of Palestine are what Mau Mau was. Tell President Ruto that the people of South Africa are what Palestinian people are today. Where our land get encroached, where our land just get taken, and we get killed on our own land, we get tortured on our own land, we get imprisoned on our own land. When we fight, they say we are terrorists. This Nelson Mandela you celebrate, for 27 years, he was in prison because he was a terrorist. What crime did he commit, which the Palestinians are not committing? His crime was to fight for the liberation of the people of South Africa and the oppressed world all over, including the people of Palestine. It can't be correct that President Ruto, knowing the history of this country and the history of South Africa, comes and tells us that he's with Israelites. Our war is not on Jewish people. Our war is not on pregnant women, Jewish pregnant women. Our war is not on Jewish children. Our war is against the Zionist apartheid state of Israel, and that's what we are fighting. So, if he got money from some Jewish person, we are not fighting that funder of his. We are fighting the state of Israel. We are not fighting individuals. We are fighting the state of Israel. At the age of 9 years, the Boers walked into my house and turned everything upside down, stripped my mother naked. When I see what those children of Palestine are going through, I can immediately relate that this is what apartheid looks like. We cannot be Pan-Africanist if we can't associate with the oppressed nation. Our Pan-Africanism is based on the basis that we are an oppressed nation ourselves. And everywhere else where we see an oppressed person, that person is our sister, that person is our mother, that person is our father, because we are not free until the whole world is free from imperialism and colonialism.
Okay. There's some. So with that being said, we're going to go into our topic, which is I'll be reading out of the book of Enoch. But I've been saying this a lot, and a lot of people need to hear it. So I'm going to play this and then we'll start reading out of the book of Enoch. Okay. It's good to hear sometimes.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is the Minister ENOCH coming to you live here in my office, and we are going to get into some more of our apocryphal studies. I want you to follow us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not yet done so. Please, 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 you can visit us online at www.kns-ministries.org. I am the Minister ENOCH, and I am excited tonight to go through this study with you. Tonight I wanted to deal with the prophet Enoch. The reason I want to deal with the prophet Enoch is because for whatever reason he's mentioned in the 66 books, and he's mentioned several times. In fact, he's mentioned as one of, I think at some point he's mentioned as Yah's greatest scribe, which means if we study out the word scribe, a scribe is somebody who writes down every single thing that you tell them to write down. And so I have a problem when they took out his book and they called it not inspired. Well, it answers a lot of things that we need to understand in the Tanakh. If you notice when you read through the Tanakh, there's very little information dealing with the giants. There's very little information dealing with the fallen angels. And the reason being is because that information was written before what we have in the book of Genesis. That information was written in what the prophet Enoch wrote. Before there was a Moses, before there was an Abraham, before there was a Noah, there was an Enoch. And you must understand that Enoch was Noah's grandfather. So there was information that they followed before there was ever a Hebrew Israelite. There was Noahide laws, and those Noahide laws were based upon what was written before. So you have to ask yourself, if there was nothing written before, what did they obey? If Moses didn't come until after Noah, Moses didn't come until after Abraham, then what did they obey in the beginning? And so this is why we must pay attention to these books, such as the prophet Enoch and the things he wrote. Now, I am not a student. I am a teacher. I have studied out this book, and I can study it with you. We're going to go through it sector by sector. Please like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I thank those that are supporting. Now, let's get into this study here. I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to get into the prophet Enoch tonight, because we need to understand some of these things that we don't realize is part of scripture. And I want you guys to understand what it was like from the beginning. So here we are, Enoch chapter 1. The word of the blessing of Enoch, how he blessed the elect and the righteous who were to exist in the time of trouble, rejecting all the unrighteous and wicked. Enoch, a righteous man who with Yahuwah answered and spoke while his eyes were open, and he saw a holy vision in the heavens. This the angel showed me. From them I heard all things and understood what I saw. That which will not take place in this generation, but in a generation which is to succeed at a distant period, on account of the elect. Upon their account I spoke and conversed with him, who will go forth from his habitation, the holy and mighty one, the Elohim of the world, who here will hereafter tread upon Mount Sinai, appear with his host, and be manifested in the strength of his power from heaven. All shall be afraid, and the watchers be terrified. Great fear and trembling shall seize them, even to the ends of the earth. The lofty mountains shall be troubled, and the exalted hills depressed, melting like a honeycomb in the flame. The earth shall be immersed, and all things which are in it perish, while judgment shall come upon all, even upon all the righteous. So he's telling you that nobody is escaping judgment. Again, verifies that there is no such thing as rapture. I don't care what scam told you that. From beginning of time, he said that judgment will come upon all. But to them shall he give peace. He shall guard the elect, and towards them exercise clemency. Then shall all belong to Yahuwah be happy and blessed, and the splendor of Yahuwah shall illuminate them. So we must understand he's talking about judgment. The prophet Enoch is talking about end time judgment. So regardless of how we may want to feel about it, there is judgment coming. And as he said, it will come upon all. He says, behold, he comes with 10,000s of his holy men to execute what? Judgment upon them, and destroy the wicked, and reprove all the carnal for everything which the sinful and wicked have done and committed against him. All who are in the heavens know what is transaction, that the heavenly luminaries change not their paths, that each rises and sets regularly, everyone at its proper period, without transgressing the commands. They behold the earth and understand what is there transacted from the beginning to the end of it. That every work of Elohim is invariable in the period of its appearance. They behold summer and winter, that the whole earth is full of water, and that the cloud, the dew, and the rain refresh it. They consider and behold every tree, how it appears to wither, and every leaf to fall off, except of 14 trees, which are not deciduous, which wait from the old to the appearance of the new, from 2 or 3 winters. Again, they consider the days of summer, that the sun is upon it in its very beginning, while you seek for a cover and shady spot on account of the burning sun, while the earth is scorched up with fervent heat, and you become incapable of walking either upon the ground or upon the rocks in consequence of that heat. He's talking about judgment. Once again, this is why you must understand that the prophet Enoch, what he wrote, should be taken into account with today. I don't care what they didn't canonize. He's speaking of a time that has not happened yet, and he's telling you ahead of time about what judgment is going to look like. They consider how the trees, when they put forth their green leaves, become covered and produce fruit, understanding everything and knowing that he who lives forever does all these things for you. That the works at the beginning of every existing year, that all his works are subservient to him and invariable, yet as Yahuwah has appointed, so are all things brought to pass. They see too how the seas and the rivers together complete their respective operations. You endure not patiently, nor fulfill the commandments of Yahuwah, but you transgress and calumniate greatness, and malignant are the words in your polluted mouths against his majesty. Fulfill the commandments. Again, we're talking about the commandments, and he said that you must fulfill them. You withered in heart, no peace shall be to you. Therefore, your days shall you curse, and the years of your life shall perish. Perpetual excruciation shall be multiplied, and you shall not obtain mercy. That's a whole lot right there. You can say all you want to say. This is judgment. In those days shall you resign your peace with the eternal maledictions of all the righteous, and sinners shall perpetually execrate you. You with the wicked. The elect shall possess life, joy, and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. But you unholy, shall be accursed. Then shall wisdom be given to the elect, all whom shall live, and not again transgress by impiety or pride, but shall humble themselves, possessing prudence, and shall not repeat transgression. They shall not be condemned the whole period of their lives, not die in torment and indignation, but the sum of their days shall be completed, and they shall grow old in peace, while the years of their happiness shall be multiplied with joy and with peace forever, the whole duration of their existence. So once again, somebody's going to have to explain to me why we don't think what the prophet Enoch wrote is important. You got to get out of the scamified church that's teaching you the same scams that you know cannot be proven in scripture. Somebody decided to take out the prophet Enoch's writings, and they did not have the authorization to do so.
Any comments on what you heard? I've been saying it over and over again, but like I said, it's good to hear somebody else speak. And by the way, the brother believe in your house, child. That's amazing to me. Yeah, anybody in the comments? Okay, no comments. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read chapter 1, and then I'm gonna go to chapter 106. It's fragments of the book of Noah, but I want to read this first because I wanted to deal with something. Chapter 1, it says, Enoch chapter 1, it says, excuse me, the words of the blessing Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and the righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. So notice right here that it says the words of the blessed Enoch. I was showing you how that Jeremiah and Enoch, Jeremiah, Haggai, Zechariah, Abraham, and all them, they was prophesied on, on the events that was soon to come, right before they passed or right after they passed. But when you read in the book of Enoch with that understanding, you understand that Enoch was the only one given what was going to happen in the end. It was given to Enoch, and all they did was what Enoch was saying. They put it up in JC mouth by writing it in red. But you notice right here in verse 1, Enoch chapter 1 says, the words of the blessed Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and the righteous, who would be living in the day of tribulation. So tribulation, right? So who's going to be, what tribulation? When all the wicked and the godless ought to be removed. Not us. It's not about us. Enoch was living when all this started, when the fallen angels came down. And he's showing him how that all that's going to come to an end. He's going to bring all that wickedness to an end. And it's the seed, the fruits of what the fallen angels did. They seed line, which is still here. But he's showing Enoch right here, the tribulation that's going to come is to get rid of all of them and their fruits and the roots of what happened, or those DNA. He's going to eventually get rid of all of. Then verse 2 says, he took up his parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man, check it out. Enoch, a righteous man whose eyes were opened by God, saw a vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angels showed me. And from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is to come. You don't see that nowhere in the other prophets. You don't see nothing about Jeremiah saying for a remote generation. You don't see Daniel saying that, Abraham saying that, You don't see him saying that. It's only here with Enoch. And so he says, notice, like I said, the angel entered into him. It says, Enoch the righteous, whose eyes is open. It means the angel entered into him to give him the vision, right? And he saw the vision of the holy ones in heaven. Right in verse 4 said, concerning the elect I saw, and took up my parable concerning them. The holy great one will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth on Mount Zion, and he shall appear from his camp, and he shall appear in the strength of his might in the heavens of heaven, and all shall be smitten with fear. I want to shine light on something right here right quick. See, it says, verse 5, the holy great one, right? So who is that? Go to Daniel chapter 1. Let me read it right quick. Daniel chapter 1 says 12, verse 1 says, Daniel chapter 12, verse 1 says, at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince. That's the holy great one. So you say, what you talking about? You know, what are you talking about? You can go back to Enoch, and you see that in chapter 20 of Enoch, it says, these are the names of the holy angels, 7 holy angels. Michael is the great holy one. Out of the 7, he's the great holy one. Okay, it says in Enoch chapter 20, verse 1, these are the names of the holy angels who watch. Uriel get their names. So you got watchers, but you got 7 holy watchers. Okay, anyway, let's go back over here where I was at. And I go to this verse all the time, 44, Isaiah 44 and 6, it says, I am the Lord and my Redeemer, the Holy One, right? The Lord of the hosts. And we see right here, in verse 5, Enoch chapter 1, verse 5, the Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God, that go Yahweh. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling place, and the eternal God will tread down upon the earth on Mount Zion, and he shall appear from his camp, and he shall appear in the strength of his might from the heavens of heavens, and all shall be smitten with fear, and all the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth, and the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and they shall melt like wax before the flame, and the earth shall be wholly rent asunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be the judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he shall make peace and protect the elect. So here we go again. Like I was breaking down with Jeremiah, and even with when they was in Egypt, they received their punishment, and they was afflicted. Then he came and turned their captivity. He's not going to afflict them no more. He already afflicted them. We see the process, and we see it right here. It says in verse 10, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be judgment upon all men, right? Then 11, but with the righteous he will make peace and will protect the elect. See that? So then when he come back, ain't no more punishment for Israel or the Israelites. Punishment is for, like he said, the wicked. That's who we're going to be. We being afflicted now. So anyway, 12, and the mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God. and they shall be prosperous, and they shall be blessed. It's the righteous. And he will help them all, and light shall appear upon them, and he shall make peace with them. So let's look at that. 14 says, and he will help them all, and light shall appear upon them, right? Well, let's look at what Isaiah said. There's light going to separate them from the wicked. So Isaiah says, verse chapter 60. Chapter 60. Arise, shine, for thy light is come. See that? The glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to thy brightness of thy rising. These kings are descendants from these fallen angels. Gentiles also. 4. Lift up thine eyes round about and see. All they gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed upon thy side. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. Forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. So way back here, Enoch told us all this. He's the only prophet did that. Okay, so it says, verse 15, chapter 1, verse 15. And behold, he cometh with 14, and he will help them all, and light shall appear upon them, and he shall make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Observe ye everything that takes place in the heavens, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heavens. They all rise and set in order, each in its season, and transgress not against their appointed order. Behold ye the earth, and give heed to the things which that take place upon it from first to last. How steadfast they are, how none of the things upon the earth change, but all the works of God appear to you. Behold the summer and the winter, and how the whole earth is filled with water, and the clouds and dew and rain lie upon it. And like I said, since I started this channel, I keep talking about this order, and they tamper with that order that the Most High set in place. But he talks about it right here in chapter 2. He says, observe ye everything that take place in the heavens, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in heaven. Then verse 2 says, they all rise and sit in order, each in its season, and transgress not against their appointed order. So they don't veer from their order, transgress against it. However it is that he set it in place, they ain't trying to do nothing else. It's repetitive. Ain't no problem. Like I said, with those angels. It's an order in place in heaven, and they ain't trying to tamper with it. They're all good with them, the holy ones. Chapter 3, observe and see how in the winter all the trees seem to as though they have withered and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees which do not lose their foliage, but they retain their old foliage for 2 to 3 years until the new ones come. Let me see if I want to read. I read 4. It says, and again, observe ye the days of the summer, how the sun is above the earth, over against it, and you seek shade and shelter by reason of the heat of the sun, and the earth also burns with growing heat. So you cannot tread on the earth or on the rocks by reason of heat. So this was like what, thousands of years ago. The sun's still doing the same. The earth, the rocks in the earth still getting hot now, just like they did back then. And they ain't doing nothing else different. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna read out of read over in 106. ENOCH 106. It's let me get it. Yeah, it is. It's a fragment of the book of Noah, from the book of Noah. It was in the book of Enoch. It's chapter 106. It says, and after some days, my son Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech, and she became pregnant by him and bore a son. And his body was white as snow and red as the blooming of a rose, and the hair of his head and his long locks were white as wool, and his eyes are beautiful. And when he opened his eyes, he lighted up the whole house like the sun, and the whole house was very bright. And thereupon he arose in the hands of the midwife, opened his mouth and conversed with the Lord of righteousness. Okay, and his father Lamech was afraid of him and fled and came to his father Methuselah. And he said unto him, I have begotten a strange son, diverse and unlike man, and resembling the son of men, sons of God of heaven, and his nature is different, and he is not like us, and his eyes are as the rays of the sun, and his countenance is glorious. And it seems to me that he is not sprung from me, but from the angels. And I fear that in his days a wonder may be wrought upon the earth. So I want to shine a light on that right quick. First of all, anybody got any comments on it? What I just read. Okay, so let's go back to when they concocted JC in the New Testament. Okay, a baby was a son, the star was in the heaven, ran across the sky. These three wise men saw the star, they followed it, and then they went to got to this manger, and there it was, the baby laying in the manger, right? Jesus Christ, the son that was hidden it from the beginning. So let's go back and read this again. It's Noah, okay? This Noah right here. But he got a son, and all this what they telling you was already preordained from the beginning, foundation of the earth, that was gonna happen with JC. So I'm gonna read this again. I says, and after some days, my son Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech, and she became pregnant by him and bore a son. Check it out. And his body was white as snow and red as the blooming of a rose, and the hair on his head, those long locks, were white like wool, and his eyes beautiful. When he opened his eyes, okay, JC didn't do none of this, right? But JC was appointed, supposed to be, son of sons, right? So it says, when he opened his eyes, he lit up the house like the sun, and the whole house was very bright. And thereupon he arose in the hands of the midwife, opened his mouth, and conversed with the Lord of hosts. JC ain't do none of this. See how crazy this is? JC ain't do none of this. And his father, Lamech, was afraid of him and fled and came to Methuselah. So Joseph, when Jesus was born, Joseph wasn't scared of him. Joseph ain't run. 6. And he said unto him, I have begotten a strange son, diverse from an unlike man. See that? And resembling the sons of God of heaven. And his nature is different. And he is not like us. And his eyes are as the rays of the sun. And his countenance glorious. And it seems to me that he is not sprung from us, from me, but from the angels. And I fear that in his days, a wonder may be wrought from the earth. Look at that. Come on. So that right there is dead counter line. Just he didn't possess none of these characteristics. And then, like I said, he said he feared that he come from one of the angels, right? But we already know, they told us, the angel overshadowed Mary. Come on. See that? In the comments. Okay. So I'm going to read until I get to, and I'll read the rest of the chapter. It says, and now my Father, I am here to petition thee and implore thee that thou mayest go to Enoch, our father, and learn from him the truth. For his dwelling place is among the angels. And when Methuselah heard the words of his son, he came to me to the ends of the earth. For he had heard that was it. For he had heard that was there, and he cried aloud, and I heard the voice, and I came to him, and said unto him, Behold, here I am, thy son, wherefore hast thou come to me? And he answered and said, Because of the great cause of anxiety I have come to thee, and because of the disturbing visions have I approached. And now, my father, hear me, until Lamech, my son, there have been born a son, the likes of whom there is none. His nature is not like man's nature, and the color of his body is whiter than snow, and redder than the bloom of a rose, and the hair of his head is whiter than white wool, and his eyes are like the rays of the sun. And he opened his eyes, and thereupon lit up the whole house. And he arose in his hands of the midwife, opened his mouth, and blessed the Lord of heaven. And his father Lamech became afraid and fled to me, and did not believe that he was sprung from him, but that he is in the likeness of the angels of heaven. And behold, I have come to thee, that thou mayest make known to me the truth. And I, Enoch, answered and said unto him, The Lord will do a new thing on the earth. And this I have already seen in a vision, and make known to thee, that in the generation of my father Jared, some of the angels of heaven transgressed the word of the Lord. And behold, they committed sin and transgressed the law, and have united themselves with women, and committed sin with them, and have married some of them, and have begotten children of them. So let's look at this. Show you how crazy this is. So we go back up to chapter 106, verse 6. So he afraid, right? He afraid of the baby, Noah. And he said, verse 6, he said unto him, I have begotten a strange son, diverse and unlike man, and resembling the sons of God of heaven, right? So notice he says they resemble the sons of God of heaven. And go over here, what I just read, verse 15, and I, Enoch, answered and said unto him, the Lord will do a new thing on the earth. And this I have already seen in a vision, and make known unto thee, that in the generation of my father Jared, some of the angels of heaven transgress. See that? They transgress, sin, transgress the words of the Lord. And what they do. 16, and behold, they committed sin and transgressed the law, and have united themselves with women, and committed sin with them, and have married some of them, and have begotten children of them. So ain't that what the angel did with Mary? It's a sin. He transgressed with them and begot children.
Right.
See that? See how crazy this is? Okay. And so he went to his father and told him that his boy don't look nothing like none of them. He think he came from the angels. And then, like I said, go to JC and the angel. He don't possess none of these characteristics. It's crazy. So anyway, 17, and they shall produce on the earth giants, not according to the spirit, but according to the flesh. And there shall be a great punishment on the earth, and the earth shall be cleansed from all impurities. Yea, there shall come. So let's look at this. These angels came down, and we know in Genesis 6, they came down, slept with these women, got giants, and that's where all the impurity started on the earth. That's when it really escalated. So that's what's coming. That's what's coming. He's coming to cut that off. All the drama that's on the earth up until today was when these angels came down and created these hybrids. So he says in 17, and they shall produce on the earth giants, not according to the spirit. See that? Not according to the spirit, but according to the flesh. Like I was showing you, that's where all this perversity came from. Homosexuality, men sleeping with men, women with women. This is where it came from. Because it's according to the flesh. Adam, Seth, and all them wasn't according to the flesh, according to the spirit. And there shall be a great punishment on the earth, and the earth shall be cleansed from all impurities. Yea, and there shall come a great destruction over the whole earth, and there shall be a deluge and a great destruction for 1 year. And this son who has been born unto you shall be left on the earth, and his 3 children shall be saved with them. And when all mankind that are on the earth shall die, he and his son shall be saved. And now make known to thy son Lamech that he who has been born is in truth as his son, and call his name Noah, for he shall be left to you, and he and his sons shall be saved from destruction which shall come upon the earth on account of all the sin and all the unrighteousness which shall be consummated on the earth in his day. And after that, there shall be no more unrighteousness than that which was first consummated on the earth. For I know the mysteries of the holy ones, for he, the Lord, has showed me and informed me, and I have read them in the heavenly tablets. Okay. So anybody have a question, comments?
Shalom.
Okay.
Comment. As you were reading in Enoch chapter 1, right? So it was Enoch that was speaking in parables, right? Not
Right.
JC, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's in Matthew where they have him speaking in parables, right?
Right.
So also in Matthew, they have him being the Lord as far as healing the leprosy, right? And then also they have him as the Messiah. So I mean, just in Matthew alone, he is 2 or 3 different people. You know, he's exactly. The Lord that is going in Matthew. He's also speaking in parables in Matthew. So to me, just by you reading Enoch, which a lot of people say that they don't read Enoch, Jubilees, or Jasher, which I think Enoch explains into details about the angels, the 7 holy, and also the fallen angels. But then once you get to the New Testament, JC seems to be everyone. He's playing a role, shall I say, of everyone that is in the Old Testament. He is playing a role of everyone in the New Testament, and people seem not to be able to decipher that. I'm not getting that one, but I just wanted to point that out, brother.
Right. So when they we gotta look at it, like I said, and when you create a God, there's a way how to create a God. We know that from the 16 crucified saviors before him. But notice how Yahweh had the prophets from Adam all the way down, wrote down everything. They got to verify who he was, right? So they had a collection of books that's associated with Yahweh in his creation. Well, when they had to make JC a god, if they want to make him a god like the God in the Old Testament, then they had to give him all those titles because they wanted him to be a god, like Yahweh is. So that's why they gave him all. They connected all those titles. That's the reason they had to go back, take out a bunch of books, because you got books like the Book of Enoch that don't jive with it. It show you the order, but in order for it to make it stick, when they concocted him, they had to take some of those books out. Yeah, so that's what that is. And then so from that they came right back with Islam and did the same thing. And they concocted Allah, and they had to put a book. They had to have scriptures to go with a book that go with him. Just like with Horus, Egyptian Book of the Dead, it goes with him. So that's Esau and his travels. He concocted all that. He was the one behind gathering all the books up at the Library of Alexandria. That's where he concocted all this. Yeah. Any comments or anything? Questions before we go? Yeah, I want to apologize for last night. You know, it's not normal, but I missed a day. I try not to, but I had to do what I had to do that yesterday. So, with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom to everybody, and I'll see everybody for advanced Bible study. I mean, it means advanced Bible study tomorrow night on Clubhouse at 8 o'clock. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.